Hello, good morning.
Good
Man,
morning. It's been a
uh,
while, hasn't it?
it's been a few minutes. There's no doubt. It's been a few minutes since we've been on here together. Good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm better than I deserve, no doubt about it. And man, are there some things that need talking about?
Well, for those of you who are just tuning in, just really quick, I want to encourage everybody. Number one, please make sure that you are liking and following. If you are on Twitter, make sure you are a follower. Make sure you are hitting the share button, please, and reposting. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you are liking and following and sharing. Share it to your stories. Supposedly, we're not going to be shadow banned and we're not going to have our content taken down, and the DEI fact checkers are going to get new jobs. But you all know how that goes. We've been watching this happen for the last 4 years. Or 5 years now, actually. So we know how this goes. So I just want to encourage you, please hit the share button and please make sure you are following. If you are on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe because a lot of you guys watch the content and then you don't subscribe. And if you don't subscribe, we can't keep going. So we have a lot planned. We have a lot in store for this next year. And we want to make sure that you guys are with us every single day as we're expanding and growing. So I do have a PSA before we get started. Good morning, everybody. So great to see everybody. The PSA is this: we are looking for American business owners who want to promote their product, their services, their business with us on America's Mom as we are expanding. We're actually going to be on a new network, and we'll be talking about that in the next couple of like the next week and a half. So we're still with Patriot TV, but we're going to be expanding even more. Our reach is growing tremendously again, thankfully. And so we want to share some of that blessing with all of you. If you are a business that is looking for advertising and you want to have promotion, we want to talk to you. So make sure you email us at contactamericasmom@gmail.com. And then we're going to talk with you and we'll share with you a little bit about what we're doing and then invite you to be able to advertise with us. So we're going to have great deals, don't worry, and love to have you guys be a part of this with us as we did in the very beginning before Facebook took everything from us and Twitter took our account down and YouTube also removed us. So we're making our way back, you guys. We're crawling back through the fire. It's a pretty awesome. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great year this year. So thank you
Yeah,
guys
and
so much
I
for
think it's
being with
easy to
us.
forget. It's easy to forget that when you started this, I mean, we're talking about millions of people. The reach was so huge. At one point, you guys, we had to shut down America's Mom Facebook page because we had about 150,000. Gosh, I don't even
Lot.
know what you want to call them. It was
I
this
don't think they were real
tribe.
people.
Well, yeah, a lot of them were real, but it was a tribe that like entered in and tried to completely overtake the site. And it was all about the post was about a woman who
Mhm.
was upset, right, that
Yeah.
she couldn't take her kids to play at the park and
During
couldn't have the
COVID.
freedoms, and she started crying. And I mean, the trolls came out of it seemingly every country,
Mhm.
every black hole. I think literally the depths of hell were opened
Pretty
up, the
much
abyss, and like these demons came out and swarmed your page, and we're like,
the
I think the
demons
only way to
came.
handle this, along with other admin, was to shut it down for 24 hours and then to
Mhm.
recalibrate. But anyway, all that to say, there's been a ton of traction in years past, and then the 2021ish really the suppression started, and
Well, now that
losing
we
hundreds
understand,
of thousands of followers, and
well,
and
yeah,
then
but
that's not just us, but it's everybody. I mean,
yeah,
many
but
people.
now that we understand the relationship that Zuckerberg had with the FBI, and we understand the relationship that Jack Dorsey had with the FBI and the CIA, and that they were they were removing conservative content from all of these platforms and banning them, shadow banning them. We all understand now what's been going on. And so I'm very hopeful. I want to know from you guys, what do you guys think should happen to Zuckerberg? Do you think that he should still be prosecuted even though he's having this turnabout with we're going to return to our roots of free speech? Do you think that he should be prosecuted? Should Cash put him at the top of the list as one of those collaborators to conspire against your First Amendment rights, collaborate with government to, it's not just criminalize people, you guys, but it was entrapment. They were entrapping people who otherwise wouldn't have moved forward, wouldn't have done anything they were going to, that they were talking about. But the FBI worked in tandem with Facebook and Meta to entrap people and provide them the things that they would need to carry out something that they otherwise were just talking about and joking around about. So I'm curious what you guys think. If Zuckerberg should be prosecuted, I think he should be in jail 100% for what he's done and what he's contributed to, and not minimizing at all that had the cards gone the other way, don't you think Zuckerberg would have continued down this path of forbidding speech and silencing diverse thought and diverse opinion? Don't you think he would have continued down that path if Kamala had won?
Yeah, of course he would have. And let me say something about this because I have a lot of experience working with domestic violence offenders and domestic violence victims. And this is the relationship that happens in what we call the DV relationship, a domestic violence relationship. All right, the perpetrator comes out and abuses. The victim cries for help and the tables turn. So the perpetrator always turns the tables on the victim. He turns the narrative. And so the victim finally lashes out. Maybe the victim slaps her husband in the face or tries to leave or calls the police. Well, then the husband, well, let's say the husband in this scenario, it's not always the husband that's perpetrator, but domestic violence relationships, most of the time, that's the way it is as far as physical violence. And then the husband turns it around and tries to play the victim. And some of you maybe have been in relationships like that. It's terrible where they virtue signal. Sometimes the victim will even get arrested because they're more emotionally under control and they play a better mental game than the victim. And all those things happen. So that's what's happening here. We've been in a domestic violence relationship with social media for at least 5-6
Hmm.
years now. And they've just like, they've, I'm trying to say
Well, we've
this
censored our own
in
speech.
a kosher way. They've
Yeah,
abused us in many
yes.
different ways. And we've cried foul and we've said, you can't do that. And they go, oh, look at the conspiracy theorists. They're trying to post their misinformation. And then they get mad when we suppress it. But we're only doing it for everybody's good because we're the fact checkers and we care about everybody and all this stuff. So now that the tide is shifting, the energy shift is happening with the election and all that. And the perpetrator is saying, "Oh, I gotta save my, I gotta save my rear end here, man." And
Literally, don't want
so
to be
they're
a
coming
bottom.
out and basically kissing the king's hand and
Yes.
trying to save themselves and save Facebook, and save endless investigations and people going to jail. So I think if a domestic violence perpetrator is involved in victimizing someone, abusing them, mistreating them, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, and then in this case, they were totally complicit in all the deaths, locking you up, not letting you go to your kid's game, not letting you go to grandma's funeral. They were, I mean, Zuckerbuck, as Lindell would call him, fake Zuck is what I call him, totally fake. He is absolutely 100% complicit. He is a perpetrator, criminal in this case for years of what's been going on. And the problem is, it's not just like, oh yeah, he suppressed some social media, whatever. They suppressed and purposely booted people off of Facebook that have unbelievable credentials. We're talking about people that have graduated from all the, ritzy universities, gotten their doctorates, are medical doctors, and many other, letters next to their name. They come out and they say, hey, listen, maybe you shouldn't get the, what, in the sidearm. Maybe you shouldn't inject poison into your body. Maybe instead you should take some natural, over the counter, very cheap stuff. They got thrown off of Facebook, thrown off of social media, kicked out, treated like criminals. Some of them got prosecuted. Some of them got sued for over $500 billion. Our good friend and amazing patriot, and one who's spearheaded what the influencers are doing, and one who's given courage for others to do what they did. That is the great Dr. Eric Naputi.
Hmm.
They did that to us, Zuckerbuck and all the rest of them. And it doesn't matter now if they come back and they say, oh, we're sorry, our fact checkers were wrong or whatever. It's all a game. They're trying to somehow save face, save their own,
Yeah.
what,
Hmm.
and they need to be prosecuted and held accountable. Listen, the reason why victims in a domestic violence relationship keep getting victimized. And this is easier said than it is actually played out. I understand that. But victims continue to choose to be victims and they don't hold their perpetrator accountable. And so if we do this again, if we step back and say, well, let's just let bygones be bygones, there were mistakes made, whatever, let's just all get along, can't we? It's going to continue to happen. We're going to be victims again until we bring out the nooses, until there's true accountability and justice and punishment for what's happened. And people need to see it. It can't be in the code words. I'm really tired of the last 5 years and all the code languages in certain, you know, I guess you'd call it right-wing movements. Oh, it's code
Yeah,
word for this. That's code word for this. No, it's time for the American people to see
plain.
this is how these things are handled. This is
Mhm.
how justice comes about, and we need to see it for what it is. So that's my soapbox this morning in regards to that issue as to whether or not we should hold them accountable. What do you guys all think? And yes, Dr. Naputi is the best.
Well, I think that's completely spot on. I think we have a Nuremberg situation here completely based off all the evidence. Again, the case has already been made. All the documentation is here because of the great work of Dr. Naomi Wolf and Cloud Hub and what they did in order to bring all this stuff together. I think all that's left really is prosecution. I will be very disappointed if a deal is made with Zuckerberg where he gets to keep everything that he has, his whole life intact, everything that is important to him after he was an accessory to the murder of millions of people. So I see the same lens. I think millions of people, billions of people around the world do also, but they would just like to see, Bill Gates be added to that as well. And any of the players, the Soros clan, it's crazy to watch Alex Soros receive. Do you guys realize that Alex Soros is not dating, is engaged to Uma Abedin? If you don't remember who Uma is, Huma, Huma Abedin, she
Oh,
is the executive assistant for over 20 years to
to one Hillary
Rodham Clinton.
Clinton. are we still are we still afraid of saying certain things? I don't think it matters.
No,
Oh,
I don't think so.
it's unbelievable.
I was liking the
Well,
dramatic back and forth there actually, but yeah,
whatever happened to
so
that laptop? Whatever happened to the laptop? I'm talking way before what's his name's laptop, who I don't even want to
yeah, this
mention.
is
The
the
Hillary and
horrific.
Uba
Yeah.
laptop. And it just so happens that all the officers that were investigating that laptop just all of a sudden decide to commit suicide.
Yeah, the
Or, I'm
majority of
sorry,
them
we can't
did.
we can't really say that on here either. We got to be careful about our language. But
Well, actually, that was Anthony Weiner's laptop, who was married to Huma Abedin. Remember
there-
Anthony Weiner, who had pictures of himself doing stuff to himself with his baby next to him, with minors, with young girls on the phone, right? He got away with it, obviously, but it was his laptop that had all of this quote life insurance on Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin, and it just reminding everybody this has been talked about publicly. This is not a conspiracy. This is information that's been seen. I was just trying to think. Uh, release the Kraken. Help me.
oh yeah, of course, attorney. Um,
Yeah, I
there's-
wasn't prepared to talk about her today.
that's okay.
Um, hang on. It'll come to me. But anyway, she said in a public press conference, you guys all remember her. She was there helping to defend President Trump. It's coming to me. Come on, brain. Anyway, she has seen the laptop and she has seen the videos. And she knows exactly what's on that laptop herself. And please remember that they disbarred her. She did get her Texas bar license back, but they went after her license and her ability to defend President Trump and prosecuted her during the whole, election fraud scam of the 2020 elections. But she's seen it personally, and it is really curious the stuff that goes on. So just
Yeah,
kind of backtracking, all these people are involved. They're all together in bed. They were all
yeah.
supporting the mass murder of millions, if not a billion people in the world, and the deaths are not done. It's not over yet.
And I want to say too, addressing this comment that is up there now, Kristen, you are more right than you probably even know. And wasn't it one Zucker whatever who said, "I used to be human"? Didn't Zuckerberg
Yeah.
say that one time? I know he did. I saw the video of it. And then he corrected himself, of course. And I want to know. I think along with justice coming, I want more exposure to happen this year, because this year really is the year of reckoning. In At least that's the word I got about November-ish of last year, is that
Yeah.
2025 is going to be the year of reckoning. We need to see a reckoning. We need to see the sheriff come to town, and I mean that in a literal sense. And we need to see
Hmm.
local, all the way up to state, all the way up to national and worldwide accountability and reckoning for what's happened here. But I also would like to see more exposure. I don't even know if these entities we're talking about have a soul anymore. And you look at someone like Zuckerberg, as we're using his platform. There's no doubt in my mind that he's nothing other than a CIA plant, and that these people don't randomly and geniusly just come up with this business plan and then make it to be one of the most wealthiest persons in the world running these
Incredibly,
social media sites. Yeah,
incredibly.
it doesn't happen that way. These people are brought up and raised by daddy CIA, and they change over time. And what's really interesting about Zuckerberg's first thing I noticed, I wasn't even paying attention to what he was saying when he did his little release about how, well, we're going to take care of these fact checkers that aren't really reporting the facts and all this stuff. Uh, and I noticed his appearance had changed dramatically from looking like a robot. He literally for years has looked like some pale robot, and people have done side by sides with the old kind of the college looking Zuckerbuck and then the new one, and they don't even look like the same person. And now all of a sudden he looked all like buff and fit, and he had this nice curly wavy hair, and he's like talking cool and all this stuff. I'm like, what is there's energies out there, and there's things that are happening that we can't quite understand. And I have a worldview that starts with the head of the snake, that I know who the head of the snake is, I know what it is, and that is what's ruling this world. So it doesn't surprise me. All the things that people call conspiracy theories and things like that, I don't believe everything out there, but things don't surprise me anymore, because I know who the head of the snake is. I know what that is. And I know that that head appoints other heads as his spokespeople to rule this world. And that those people, like the Zuckerberg, are puppets. That's what they are. Now, are they demonic puppets? I think there's a good case to be made for that. And I really do. And I think we say that, these people are demons. I think we almost say it lightly now, where to me now, it's become much more of a serious matter. And I think we're dealing with something more than just people who have gotten corrupt and have decided to go off to the dark side. These people that literally have sold their souls to, at very least, sold their souls to an agenda for money and power and fame, position, and all that stuff. But at worst, they've literally sold their soul to the head of the snake, and there's no turning back. And I sure hope that we're here, and I think it's an exciting time to be here to help uncover this stuff.
Hmm.
And God's always used people. I think for years and years in times past, we've always watched the TV, and we've watched people in high positions going, oh, if I vote this person in, now they're going to
Right.
uncover it all, and they're going to do all the work. And I can go back to my life of entertainment, where I'm sort of mind controlled and I'm doing all my fun things of entertainment and all that stuff. But now we're like, no, I want to be involved in uncovering this stuff. And if we're going
Right.
to do it, enough people are going to have to step up to do it. We can't just watch Trump and hope that he does the right thing, because I've said for a long time, Trump's fluid. He could go good, he can go bad. And we saw that. He did a lot of great things. He also, in my opinion, did a lot of things that weren't so great, and was influenced by a lot of people in his first term that he shouldn't have been influenced by.
Well,
And now we're coming
I
up
want
on
to
this
jump.
again, right?
Hang on. I'm going to jump in on this because I have a little bit. I kind of just, the only thing that I really can say, hey, bad move was the billions of dollars, the $1 billion that was spent on the vaccine manufacturing. It's unfortunate that he did not listen to RFK, but clearly bringing RFK into the administration under the HHS is going to be huge. It's going to be massive, and hopefully will help to correct some of that. But I think it's just, again, I think people are just expecting way too much, and this is the problem. We keep acquiescing what is our authority, what we're supposed to be involved in, be a part of, be talking about, be communicating about, saying no to in a local level. We give it over. People, in my opinion, just people are giving way too much credit to Trump for all of that happened. I fully understood. You fully understood. It was your responsibility in your own community to try to educate the public when you had the answers and you knew the information. You had a moral obligation to try to educate as best you could and to stand up against mandates and do everything you could to push back. That is what's expected of us as Americans. It's what our founders expected of us, that we would push back against tyranny in all its forms, even when it comes from someone who thinks they're doing good or whatever. It doesn't matter. The founding principles are what we always come back to in determining whether or not we are going to comply. And force is not something we comply with in America as U.S. citizens. So I'm not defending President Trump, but I am just saying, like, you had an outsider who believes that government, it still doesn't quite understand that government does not work the same way that business does. He's thinking everybody wants what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And that's just not true. Some of these people have to cover up their pedophilic ways. Some of these people have to cover up their crimes against our country. Some of these people have to cover up their relationships with our enemies in our country. Some of them have to cover up their extra families that they are growing in DC. Some of these people have a lot of things to hide, and I don't think Trump was expecting that. And we've exposed. We
Yeah.
talked about it last night. The Election Commission, for example, the Election Commission is what supports the federal laws on our elections in this country. They're supposed to advance it and enforce it across the country. Well, the people who were running, the four appointed commissioners who were running that, are Obama leftovers.
Mhm.
They should have been replaced immediately. And I just don't think it's a 9 million employee agency. That's a lot to just come in as an outsider and think you're going to clean up in your first round. So I just think the responsibility is really on us. It was then, it is now. I think Trump being in office creates the best conditions for freedom because we know he's not going to abuse the three-letter agencies and send them after people. We
Yeah.
know that he's not seeking to control the masses. We know that he wants to give power back to the people. And hopefully this time around, the administration is set up in such a way that we're going to actually see the restoration of our country again. And that's really, I think, what it falls to. We want as limited government as possible. We shouldn't feel them. We shouldn't be thinking about them every
Yep.
day. We shouldn't be wondering what they're going to do to us next. That should not be happening in America. So I just
Yeah.
you know
Well, and despite what you think of Trump, and this is an argument that I've had with other people who are very anti-Trump. To me, it goes back to his first inauguration speech. If you go back and watch that, you guys, I would encourage anybody. I don't care what political persuasion you are, unless you're like that 10% hardcore, like
communist,
right, like, yeah, just leftist. I mean, just complete
just
mind
goes
controlled
crazy.
zombie. And yeah, you're
Mhm.
crazy, whatever. But if you go right, left, or middle, and you listen to that speech, I just challenge anybody. Tell me one thing in that speech you disagree with. One thing you disagree with, because it never was about Trump for me. I enjoyed some of the tweets. I enjoyed his press conferences.
Mhm.
I enjoyed, and we thrived under, as most people did, his policies, many, many, many of the policies, especially regarding business and economic policies. I enjoyed not getting into a war for 4 years and having that kind of peace. I
Oh.
liked that. But to me, it wasn't about Trump. It was about what Trump said at his first inauguration speech. And if you guys remember, I could sum it up in very few words. And that was, it's time to give the power back to who it belongs, to the
Mhm.
people. That was the idea. It was a very uh, uh, constitutionally founded and grounded speech. And I don't even know that Trump really knew the Constitution very well. It was just, to me, it was almost inspired. Not because I think Trump's some amazing guy. I don't have any like false ideas about the
Mhm.
morality of Trump's life and things like that. But what he represented and what he was used to do was to begin this awakening of the American people. Before he came in, we never even heard of the term fake news.
Eh,
People stopped watching mainstream media. People began understanding, some people that were willing to began understanding that politics, much of politics and policy is driven on wars and money. He began exposing that. He didn't take a salary. He said, I'm going to release all these restrictions, federal restrictions on local businesses, federal
Mhm.
restrictions on American products. I'm going to bring manufacturing back to the US. And he did those things. And he began a lot of very important discussions that people are having now that never would have been had, and a lot of awakening that was going on that never would have
Mhm.
been done had he not come in. So, whether or not, like, especially as Christians, we say, well, is Trump saved? And is he this and that? Or is he with, you know what? Those are answers that God knows. But what I want to focus on is policies, policy driven politics, not
Mm.
personalities. I really don't care that much about personalities and whether somebody's likable. I care and watch what they do. And more important than Trump or anybody else in the administration is our own local administrations. By that I mean you and I. We're the
Well,
administration. We're running our communities.
I do want to share something. We're going to be having Sharon Annabelle join us in just a few moments. She is a chiropractor out of Colorado in Mesa County, Grand Junction. And we're going to have her on talking about the latest, speaking of local policies and what matters. We're going to show you the alternative to Trump. Literally, Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado, is the antithesis of President Trump. He is talking a great talk. He loves to throw up Taylor Swift quotes. He loves to act like he's just the cool, regular guy with his blue tennis shoes who throws on a cowboy hat every now and then. This guy is couldn't be further from a normal human being. I don't even know if he is human, to be really clear with you. If you're not following Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado, you need to be following. He has been the media's darling, even though he has been the most progressive, outrageous governor in the country. He's now leading the Governors Association of America, and that's why we need to share this with you guys today. So I want to, Jeff Hunt, who I traditionally have not followed because traditionally he has not been very vocal in supporting the actual things that are going on with regular people in Colorado, but he's had a turnabout this year. And to your point, Neil, also, people do feel free to talk again. And that right there is a huge sign of the freedom we feel under President Trump versus the Biden administration. And so just
Yep.
kind of throwing that out there. So I have noticed people all of a sudden have a lot of courage they didn't have a couple months ago. And I mean, good for you guys. And I see that that's a point of contention also with January Sixers, with FBI informants who are finally coming out after it's safe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
There is.
We have,
Can I make a quick
we've,
point too that
please,
we've seen
yeah.
that personally?
Oh, yeah.
There were people that kept their distance from us over the last number of years, and then all of a sudden, they're like
Mm,
kind of back in our lives and commenting on our stuff. And it's like, oh, hey, where were you 2 years ago when we were talking about the craziness
mm.
of masks and the jabs and the tyranny that we're under and all that stuff? Well, people kind of some went into hiding.
Oh, big
Not
time.
not that they weren't hiding in the cave. They were just hiding their values and their beliefs because they're afraid.
And
That's
that's the
got to stop.
problem.
It's got to
That's
stop. Exactly. Yeah.
gollies, like God gives you everything you have, and you think you're going to hold on to it with your silence.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's been thrown a bone here. Everybody's getting this incredible second chance to be who they wanted to be, but they demonstrated during the last 4 years they were not. The great thing about being a human is you can grow and you can change. And so, with that in mind, I do want to share Jeff Hunt's video because he captured the speech, you know, I don't know, the year end, like the beginning of the year speech. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, from Jared Polis. Okay. And he sums it up really darn good. This guy, just to remind everybody, most progressive leftist governor in the country. He learned the stock exchange on the floor in Russia when he was a kid. He wrote that himself. I don't know why nobody picks up on this, but that is how he learned the stock exchange is through communism, and went on to buy and sell military items from Russia to other people around the world. It's just the craziest story. The kid is, it's very interesting. He's had a really colorful background. He has been the most progressive in pushing the sexualizing bills of children. He's gone further than Colorado, or excuse me, than California has even. California was unwilling to do the non-legal name change law, which criminalizes teachers if they don't use the names that children from day to day want to be called. based on their identity that particular day, Colorado went that far. And now they're going to go even farther. But before we get there, I want to share this video with you guys. This is the breakdown of Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado, the head of the Governors Association of America now. This was his address to the people of Colorado yesterday. And by the way, I just want you to know they sang the Black National Anthem, complete with an interpretive dance. So it sounds like it was really neat. Yeah, real neat. Let's take a listen here. Everybody take a listen.
Honorable Jared Polis, governor of the state of Colorado.
Altitude. Altitude is in many ways our secret ingredient. Potatoes, Colorado grown potatoes, Colorado altitude, and also the Rockies play here. Altitude is more at altitude. The sun's rays shine stronger and brighter. Right here. Right there.
Wonderful.
The governor is a nerd, and I'll oppose anyone and everyone higher to even greater altitude. Mycorrhizal fungi networks or wood wide webs, expanding public transit and rail. As they say in The Mandalorian, this is the way. Climate change, our bold climate action, outdoor equity,
I'm embarrassed.
Eliminating the penny, needless bureaucracy and paperwork.
Sorry.
We are committed to holding cattle rustlers accountable. So I can speak for another hour. For a woman to make her own reproductive health care choices, including abortion, and many other immigrants who enrich our communities and economy every day.
Notice there's nobody there.
Are living in fear. Fabulous Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera. And defying gravity, RuPaul says, reading is what? Fundamental. 90% of students. Imagine a class of 25 students. 22 are behind grade level.
He's been governor for 5 years.
Good job, Polis.
Sometimes simply breathing can be an act of strength. Lord of the Ring fans know that one does not simply walk into Mordor. It's your body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. It's
Here we
your
go.
body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. It's your body, it's your marriage, it's your choice. Diversity is a strength, not a threat. I think I've seen this film before, and I don't like the ending. Tickets as low as $19 for adults, $10
I can't handle
for
it.
kids.
I can't handle it.
He is such a freak show. Oh my gosh.
All we needed for that was a clown face. I wish we could have done a clown face over him or something.
Well, listen, here's the fact is the guy's a moron. He didn't quote anything from our Constitution. It was not about promoting constitutional values. It's about setting up a pedophilic kingdom where love is love, age is just a number, and you can do whatever thou wilt in the state of Colorado. That's the kingdom Jared Polis is establishing. That's the agenda that he's pushing. And yes, I do think he is part of the satanic pedophile club. 1000% I do. So let's talk about what he's doing now to the children of Colorado and how he's going to further disembowel any rights that parents may have thought they had in the state of Colorado. Sharon Annabelle is going to join us to talk about exactly what's going on and alert you to the latest nonsense of Jared Polis. Sharon, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate you doing this last minute. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. What we're going to talk about is House Bill 25-1027, which was introduced right off the bat. The name of this bill is Concerning Modifications to Statutes Governing Disease Control. First off, that's a pretty broad title for a bill. So down the road, makes you wonder what else they're going to stick in underneath that. What this bill does, after I read through it, is it basically gives more power to CDPHE, specifically on page 3, lines 4 through 10. In the event of a public health emergency, blah, 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 the executive director or the chief medical officer shall, and then it gives a list of what they can do during an emergency. So in the past, Polis had that GEERC committee. Well, this does away with that committee and just puts more control right into CDPHE. So that was my my take on
So
it.
the practicality of all this, for just 1 second, the practicality
Sure.
of all this, number one, this is concerning the vaccination schedules of children in Colorado and their ability to access public education if they have not had all of the 76 shots and whatever schedule that they're going to add to it, actually in the state of Colorado, whatever shots they're going to add to it. If they haven't had those, there's a 14-day window, right, where parents can either submit they can submit their exemptions, which, by the way, you must take an online class to be told what an idiotic parent you are for not giving your children all 76 shots. By the way, you get it literally a re-education class in Colorado now if you opt out of even one shot. So, okay, so they have to do that. If they haven't done it in that 14-day window, what can we expect to see happen to the students and the parents
Okay.
potentially?
It specifically states in the bill that the school can be suspended or actually expelled, and it actually leaves it up to the school. And it doesn't say it shall be, it just says it shall suspend or expel the student. And that's on page 9, lines 24 through 25, if anybody wants to look that up. So it takes the onus off of CDPHE directly and Governor Polis to make him look like he's, being the good guy here,
Yeah.
and just puts it right directly back onto the schools, mandating them. So my question is what if the schools don't comply? Is there going to be some rules written in there that'll take away school funding? What's going to happen down the road from that? If you don't mind, I'd like to go back and address, sorry, I have the bill right in front of me with all my little notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
On that whole schedule of vaccines, on page 10, lines 9 through 13, it specifically states the scheduling of immunizations in the written plan that parents must submit within that 14 days. If they don't do the certificate of exemption, it must follow medically recommended minimum intervals approved by the State Board of Health. Now that is really ambiguous, and as we all know, that's very much subject to change. And it goes on to say, if the student begins but does not continue, the school shall suspend or expel the student. So there's no wiggle room whatsoever there.
So my thought is with this too, we've watched since 2020. I can't remember the state rep's name that was also working for one of the pharmaceutical companies that was creating the vaccines, that they were trying to do the mandated schedule and the centralized database. So in Colorado, there is a centralized database now of the children who are in public school, of what their vaccine schedule is, what shots they have or have not had. So you just know that that's happening. Even if you requested to opt out of it, apparently the state of Colorado is violating that and is still added students to that centralized database where they're keeping all track of all of this information. Your private health information in Colorado is not private, which again is such a Jared Polis sits there, your body, your choice, my body, my choice, my marriage, my choice, freedom. He's calling it the free state of Colorado. What a slap in the face, by the way. That's obviously incredibly derogatory when you think it's coming off of the free state of Jones, which, by the way, was about slavery. People know that live in Colorado that Jared Polis has restricted the movement, the actions, the ability for access to healthcare, the access to public school education, access to recreation, access to everything for farmers, for ranchers, to our interstates and highways now under his bizarre, gosh, what's the animal lover? They are absolutely insane. It's the biggest gaslighting ever, because the amount of laws that he has passed to restrict the people of Colorado and their production and productivity is insane. So he stands up there and gaslights everybody while he's now preparing to do one more thing that restricts education of students in the state of Colorado if they do not comply with his 72 shot mandate for Coloradans. Period.
Yeah.
What he's doing. So I don't think anybody should be fooled about this. I think they should really be paying attention, Sharon, as you said. What's the consequences if a school district does not comply with this? If they choose not to punish kids and suspend them from school for not getting a shot?
Yeah. Who knows?
There?
Who knows? It's they'll figure it out in the rule making is what my anticipation is. there was a section in this called non-compliance, and they completely deleted that section. And then the old non-compliance section actually explained how you could actually correct everything and get your student re-enrolled in the school. But there's nothing in the new version of this that says, what's the recourse for a parent, and how do they get their kid re-enrolled back into school? There's nothing in this bill that says how to do that. They completely took that part out.
I suppose it'll be, Sharon, because they throw their hands up and say, comply or get out.
Pretty much,
And
yeah.
do you think parents will?
I'm not going to even comment on that, because that would just be me guessing what parents will do. I can tell you this: the initial feedback I'm getting from parents is they are not happy about this. They're pretty up in arms and pissed off, and they see what's really going on here on this. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. I do want to mention one thing: that database you're talking about, the name of it is Colorado Immunization Information System, or it goes by CIIS. So if somebody needs to look it up, that's the name of it: Colorado Immunization Information System, or we refer to it as CIS or SIC.
Sick.
Yeah.
They are sick. These people
Yeah.
are sick. And it's, for me, it's really, and all the parents, all the unaffiliated voters who came out screaming at Polis in 2020 when the mandate started. It's why Bobby Kennedy came to Colorado and Del Bigtree, was because Governor Polis has been the most restrictive and dictatorial governor over vaccines in the country. So he's lying to the public. He puts himself out there as just a do whatever you want, live free. Oh no. Do you agree with that, Sharon? You've been on the forefront of this. You've been leading and educating and teaching about what Polis has done to restrict people's freedoms and movement in Colorado. Do you think he's great and the most progressive in this area?
Because I'm on air here, I won't give my true opinion of what I think of him. I will say this: I was at the rally when RFK Jr. came and spoke to us. I was like 20 feet away from him, and it was a pretty amazing rally. I will say this: I suspect that we'll put it out there, when RFK Jr. gets confirmed, it would not surprise me if our legislators try and do some pushback against anything that we try to do federally to protect rights, that they try and dial it back statewide, just like they're doing with the immigration stuff.
Yeah. I agree, just because of what Phil Weiser, the Attorney General of Colorado, is already putting out on Twitter right now, or X, whatever. He's already putting out there that they're going to be pushing back on the federal government. They're going to protect all people in Colorado, all this 300,000 plus illegal immigrants we have in the state of Colorado. It's wild
Yeah.
times in this state. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing this information with us and just informing Coloradans of what's coming. But I want everybody to hear about this, because if it's starting in Colorado, guys, the bill has already been written. And what these guys do is they just recycle it in all the states to see who will pick it up and who will run with it. And if Big Pharma has anything to do with it, they are going to want force and coercion in order to advance and peddle their shots. That's what they need. That's how they're going to make their money. And this is a great bill to do just that. Sharon, thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. And speaking of which, really quick, if you guys actually want to take control of your health outside of the pharmaceutical cartel, outside of the people that are trying to control and poison you, then come and join us for our Zoom. We're having a live Zoom, and we want you all to be involved in it. We try to do this once a month, and we've gotten tons and tons of people saying, please do it again, because either they came and they loved it and they just love hanging out, or they've been missing it. So that's in 4 days. It's on the 14th at 7:30 Central Time, January 14th, 7:30 Central. We're going to talk about here's how you register, and then you'll know what we're going to talk about. How you register is getyourbuttinshape.com.
Somebody
Get
said, whose domain is that?
your
And it's like,
buttinshape.com.
ours.
We're going to put it in the comments now. How about that? Get
Listen,
your buttinshape.com.
you all
And you know
know.
what? We it's so there's a lot.
Yes, you walked right into this one.
I
So
know I did.
I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna drink to that.
The reason why we have been so brainwashed by the medical cartel system is because we're not taking control of our health. Our butts aren't in shape, and we want to get our butts in shape, you guys. So we don't need them. If we got our butts in shape and we were taking control of our health, like 90% of their power goes away. I mean, us taking our freedom back starts with our health. It starts with morals and virtues and living like God wants us to live, and with our health. So join us next week. Go in, register. Even if you're already with us, join anyway. And if you've already come in the past, we don't care. We're inviting all of our good friends and followers to come out and join us for that Zoom. Let me also say this, and Sharon made a really good point. Polis is always passing legislation that he doesn't want to be held accountable for. And so he's constantly virtue signaling, constantly passing policies to take away Coloradans' freedom, but it never can quite go back on him. And I experienced this firsthand when I was coaching high school basketball in Western Colorado in 2020-ish, 2021-ish. I was trying to get to the bottom of who is making the freaking decision about basketball players wearing their stupid face diapers while they're playing basketball. One of the most insane, craziest things, which if aliens were real, they would see that and they would pass us right over. They don't want to invade our nation because we're too crazy and whacked out. Once they see our kids wearing masks, not being able to breathe on the basketball court or whatever sport they're playing, I called around as a coach. I don't think anybody else did it. I made call after call after call. I called our local Mesa, or not Mesa, but it was our local.
We recorded it. We recorded it.
We recorded calls.
Played it on
Called our
Facebook.
local
What was
health
happening.
department. Yep. Called the CDH, the Colorado Department of Health. Called the governor's office. I went in a full circle. Every one of them said, "Well, no, it's not us. We're just following this. No, it's not us. We're just following this." Finally got a hold of some volunteer kid at the governor's office, and he finally admitted, he's like, "Well, he was really nice. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just a messenger." But he's like, "Well, the decision really just came from the governor."
Yes.
So when it boils down to it, everybody just said, "Oh, it's our divine and Reverend Governor Pontiff Polis that's making all the kids suffer. So therefore, we're going to just fall in line with that." And it's sad because
money
he
was
would never admit
attached to that.
And that's right. And she said, and what she said, and people know this, but the policies of your local school board are attached to money at a state, if not even a federal level. And so the school boards and the schools, if there's any in Colorado, which let's just pray that courageous people like you all stand up and go to the school board and say, we're not going to tolerate these new mandates of poison being injected into our children. We're not going to tolerate it. But if they say no, they're going to get cut off. But whatever funding they're going to, whatever avenue that the bigger authorities or higher ups or whoever they are going to go through, they're going to cut off funding. And so that's when you have to be strategic about this as a school board and coaching school board members and administrations about where can this money come from. If enough local people get together and decided we're going to fund what needs to be funded, you wouldn't even need these federal and state funds. So anyway, it's all attached to money. So there you go. Hey, we're running out of time too. We got to get to California real quick before we.
Yes, we do. Let's get to California. That's exactly what I was going to say. I know people are wondering about President Trump. Yes, he has been convicted, by the way. The Supreme Court has decided to be the weak-noodled, spineless court that we all believe they were. ABC is absolutely, ACB is completely pathetic. Such a disappointment. I'm glad she stands for life, but good grief, there's been a precedent that's been set for decades. And just so everybody understands, the President of the United States, it has been determined he is immune from criminal prosecution for official acts, but he is not immune from criminal sentencing by a corrupt, partisan, and dangerous local judge 10 days before his inauguration. This is ridiculous. The ruling is insane. I don't know exactly what it means yet. So just so you all know, I don't know yet what it means. People are asking, and hopefully we'll know more about that this afternoon, and we will put an update, because this is pretty intense to think that they can still criminally charge him and sentence him. So I don't know what that's going to mean. But Amy Coney Barrett is a massive disappointment. Okay, on to California.
Yeah, I know you guys have been watching what's going on there. There's so many different angles we could take. First of all, obviously, it's tragic what's happening there. Horrible. You never wish this upon people, especially the innocent and the people that are just losing their homes. Their insurance has apparently changed policy within the last year, saying they're not going to cover fires.
No, last 4 months. Last 4 months.
Yeah.
Dropped their fire
And
coverage.
yep. Interestingly enough, Joe Rogan on his program talked about this about 6 months ago, the possibility of Los Angeles burning. And interestingly enough, one Donald J. Trump brought this up as well a few years ago, that because of policies in this area, it's likely going to burn. So as sad and horrible as it is, there's also another side to this, and that's that I guess I'm not going to be careful about saying it. You do reap what you sow, you guys. This is a product of a lot of things, but one of them is policies. This is why politics are important, especially at a local level, because this is what happens when you take away up to $20 million from the fire department and give it elsewhere to DEI programs. This is what happens. That's why the fire hydrants were empty. That's why they're actually using purses. There's video of sorry, of officials, firemen using purses. Yeah, firefighters using purses to try to fill them up with water from their fire truck and go put them out. This is a direct result of policy that has happened. And so people are, I mean, it's awful. It's terrible. But it's also just this ongoing lackadaisical attitude about, hey, let's fund DEI projects instead of being ready for disasters like this.
There's no water.
I mean, it's so unbelievably sad. And I would love to show, I don't think I have it though, the clip of the fire chief there, who she's an don't worry, she is LGBTQ. Okay, so check that box. She clearly doesn't know what she's doing as the fire chief, and but it doesn't matter, because her only tweets right now is that everybody should be kind, everybody should be nice,
so
everybody should be supportive. I've talked a lot, we've talked a lot about the Be Kind campaign and what that incredible gaslighting. Of course, we know people teach our kids to be kind, but that's not what that has been about. It's been a gaslighting campaign, and they dare to use it even now. You're looking at a man's just a local there in the area. He was filming. Everything is on fire. Everything's burning down. And this particular video, the narrative on it is horrendous to listen to. It's, gut wrenching. You got a man and he can't do anything about what has happened. And I think realizing that over the last few years, not just the last few years, the last couple of decades, but really intensely since 2012, I believe. 2012 is when I started feeling like I can't say what I want. I can't be out there the way I want to be out there. And of course we work through that, but that's really when I started feeling it, is when in 2012. And so we've allowed these people, these corrupt politicians, these policies to castrate us. And this is what we get. We get our homes burning down, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can't even get water. We can't even be mad about it. We can't even say that we're angry that our homes just burned down. Like, this is wild stuff. People can't even vent their frustrations to the fire chief. And by the way, did you see this? Did you see this, Neil? That the mayor went to Ghana the day that she knew that the storms were coming in or whatever, this big winds were coming in and it was looking pretty bad. And she goes to Ghana for the presidential inauguration down there. This woman, though, apparently is a communist, is a full-blown communist, and has been serving as the mayor of LA County or at Los Angeles, excuse me, not the county, Los Angeles. And she's a full-blown communist. So they don't care. And you brought this up when we were talking privately. When you look at the videos of these men, I'll share a video with you guys too. Another video where we're seeing what looks to me like people who don't come from this country. We'll just put it that way. People who don't come from this country who don't, what is it you said? They don't have our values. They don't care
They're not
about what we
invested
care about.
at all.
They're, so I'm going to share this with you guys. Just like, what is it that we're actually seeing here? What is your suspicion about what actually happened to start these fires and what is continuing to perpetuate the fires? And as I show this video.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things going on. One of them is there's numerous videos of strange sort of laser-like beams from the sky. We've posted some of them. You guys, you'll have to go look. To me, this is well beyond just conspiracy theory stuff. Like these are videos showing it. I don't know how to explain it. If you look up DEWs, that will give you some hints. But at the same time that this is going on, they're finding people who are actually throwing gas on fires. And some of these fires are not even part of the big 3 major fires that apparently and reportedly, and by video, there's a satellite view of 3 of them, the 3 major ones starting at the exact same time in totally different places. But these people that they're catching, like your video is showing here, are literally throwing gas on fires in the middle of the city on a building randomly. Yeah. Where are these people coming from? Why would they be doing that? So it seems to me to be a very planned out, systematic takedown of Los Angeles. And I've posted elsewhere too. If you go back and look, like there's nothing new under the sun. You go back and just type in like Chicago Great Fire or Los Angeles Great Fire or New York City Great Fire. You have all these prior fires that have happened. Now, how is this happening? These are not forest fires. This is something much, much different. The cars are melting again, much like it happened in Maui. Strange things happening all over the city where fires are just randomly starting, and then not to mention people throwing literally not just gas, but the whole gas can just coming out of their car and going up to a fire and throwing a gas can in it. It doesn't make sense from a reasonable standpoint, but it does make sense if you think this was some sort of a calculated, controlled thing that's happening here. And then there's a lot of talk about what are they hiding. So I haven't been able to confirm this because it's hard to confirm anything on the Google or the internet, but there was supposedly Diddy's house may have come under fire, and another museum that I don't know if I should mention on here that has been there's been a lot of conspiracy about this museum being sort of a child trafficking kind of thing.
A hub. Yeah.
Yep, a hub. All these big actors and actresses coming out and saying my home was involved in this. We're not at home at the time that this is happening. Big ones like Tom Hanks and others. And I'm just wondering if there's a effort to hide evidence here, because and now all of a sudden, isn't it interesting that just this disaster, the president comes out and says, "Hey, we're gonna cover all of this."
Forget the North
North Carolina, you get $700, but for these ones in LA, we'll cover all of it. Now, of course, we should cover all of this for every disaster that happens, but you just can't make this stuff up as far as like all of the pieces to the puzzle coming together going, this is not some sort of accidental fire happening. We could do a whole couple-hour program and show videos of all the things we're seeing.
I think we're going to be coming back this afternoon. Actually, we are on a really hard stop today, but we have a lot more to share with you guys, a lot more that we need to cover, more videos that we want to share with you guys too, because again, this is really insanity at its finest, what you're seeing happen. And I want to leave this on a teaser. Neil actually has a video that is going to blow your mind. A video that was taken at the start of the fires in the Palisades in California. Okay. And so we're going to show that this afternoon. We'll be back with more content this afternoon. But I want to thank you guys for being with us. Please make sure to sign up for the Zoom. Neil's going to post it on here. We are at a hard stop. So babe, will you sign us out today?
Yeah, for sure. And if you guys, I think there's going to be a job opening in Los Angeles, the DEI hire who makes $750,000 a year can't account for why these fire hydrants were empty and why there's no water. She is the CEO of the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. $750,000 a year. You'll have to listen to her for about 5 seconds and you realize she's another DEI hire. Doesn't know what she's doing. So any of you that are listening would be much more qualified to run that department than her. So maybe put your job application in there. That's a pretty good wage, $750,000. especially for, you know, the little amount of work these people do. So anyway, we'll talk about some of that later on, either today or tomorrow. Appreciate you guys. No matter what happens, we've got to keep our eyes single during this time and our whole body full of light. See you guys soon.